supplementary video to the anagram tutorial, but I wanted to take a look at the function that I gave you. This is a scramble function, and what this does is it takes a string as its parameter and then it scrambles the letters in the string. So what I wanted to do is just walk through this function so that you understand how it works. When you use it in your program, you will just use the function itself. So you'll just have to call scramble with a string parameter and it will scramble that string for you. But it's really good practice to learn how to read code so that you can understand how these more complicated functions work. So the first thing that this scramble does is, okay, it takes a string and then it takes that string and it splits it. Now this split function will take a string and split it into an array. So what it's actually doing here, we have it splitting on basically a blank string. So it's going to create an array that contains every letter in our string. So let's imagine that we passed in the string Iron Man. Okay, we're going to do a little Marvel theme this time. And we pass that into Scramble. Now when we run this string split function, it's going to create an array, okay, and then it's going to split every letter of Iron Man and create an array that contains each of the letters, okay, in that string. So there we go. We now have an array that contains every letter in the string Iron Man. So now what we're doing, we've assigned variable n to the length of that array, and now we're going to basically run through this array using a for loop. Now what this for loop is going to do is it's going to start at length at var I equals n minus 1. So that is var I equals the length of the array minus 1. And since arrays are 0 index, that means it's going to start at the last element in the array. That would be this n. Okay? It's going to count backwards. That's this I minus minus. And it's going to do so as long as I is greater than 0. So until it gets to the R here, this last letter. Okay? Then what it's going to do is it's going to grab a random value between 0 and I. So what we've got here is math.floor math.random times I plus 1. And what that'll end up giving us is a random value between 0 and I. Remember, we use this to create our dice in the math exercises earlier. So math.random gives us a random decimal number between 0 and 1. We multiply that times the range that we want plus 1. And then we take math.floor, and that basically takes us down, rounds us down to the integer below the result of this multiplication here. So basically what this is doing is we're grabbing a random value that corresponds to an index earlier in this array. Then what we're going to do is we create a temp variable, okay? And this temp variable is going to contain the letter that our I is on. And so in this case, the temp variable is going to contain n. Then we're going to grab this random number. Let's imagine that this random number generator gives us the number 2, right? So that'll give us the O, okay? And so now AI, which is the n at the end of our array, is going to be equal to AJ, which would be A2, which would be this O. So what was happening here is we're going to copy the O to the end of the array, And then we are going to set AJ equal to temp. So in this case, that's A2, right? So this O will end up becoming an N. Okay, then we step back one. And so now we're starting with the A. We're grabbing a random element earlier in the array. Let's imagine this time the random element gives us 0. So we're going to grab the I, right? So we're going to move A into our temp variable. We're going to move I to where the A was, and then we're going to move our temp variable to where the I was. Okay? Then we move back again. This time we grab the M, that goes into our temp variable. Let's imagine our random number generator gives us 3, so we're going to grab this N. Okay? We're moving the N to the M. We're putting the temp variable at the N. Okay? Then we're going to do that again. So we're going to grab the space, set that as our temp variable. Then we're going to say we get a 2, and we're going to grab that N, switch it with the space, right? And then we take that and move it to where the N is. And then we're going to move back one. So now we've got this M value here. Copy that, put it into the temp variable. Let's say we get a 1. We're going to move the R to where the M is, then move the M from the temp into that position. Now we're in this 3 position. We have this space, or the second position where we have the space. We move the space to the temp variable. Now we get either one of these two. Let's say it's the A. We move that into our 3 position, move the temp variable to the A. Now we get to the first position. And remember that this is as far as our loop is going to go. And we shuffle that with the string that goes before it. And now we join. We return A, which is our array, dot join. And we join on an empty string. So it's going to take all of the letters in this array, and it's going to take it from an array into this string here. Okay? And what that does is it gives us a mixed up version of the word Iron Man. I-R-O-N-M-A-N with space in between, right? So that's what this scramble does. This is a fairly, it's not that computing intensive. It's a fairly simple algorithm. But what this does is it gives us a way to really randomize anything. This for loop here, you can use this on arrays. You can use it on split strings. There's lots of different things that you can use it on. Now, for the case of our anagram generator, our anagram game, you're just going to use the function. So when you call it, you just call scramble, and then you pass a string into scramble there. And so I'm going to log the result of scramble hello world, and you can see that we have a mixed up hello world here. Okay, so hopefully that helps you understand how this function works. In the next video, we're going to go over the anagram game assignment.